Hi, I'm Jasmine Trocchia, and I'm here with episode 1 of the IRA Café. And today I'm joined with my friend and colleague, Kyle Moody, our business development manager here at American IRA. Hello, Kyle. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, Jasmine. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I like talking to you. So today we're going to talk about what I think is a really great start to our podcast series and what we think and what American IRA thinks that every well-informed client should know. What we would ideally like someone who's investigating self-directed IRAs, what we think they should know before they even come to American IRA, before they even go to the website, before they call on the phone and talk to Kyle or one of our other client service specialists, that what you need to know before you even get here. So Kyle, I'm going to throw it to you first of all. Yeah. What are some of the things that you wish a client would know coming to you before they even talk to you on the phone?
Yeah, it's a great question. And after almost 8 years on the phone, hundreds of calls a week, thousands throughout the years, I've actually been able to put together a list, and it actually doesn't take that long to put it together, and it depends on how long you want to discuss them. I would say that probably the number one thing that someone wants to know is that a self-directed IRA is not for everyone. So it really depends on what your investment objectives are, whether you're comfortable in the stock market, whether you want to make the leap to do if you want to diversify your portfolio to get into self-direction. And then once you get into self-direction, do you already know what it is you're looking to invest in?
No, wait, hold on. Let me stop you there for really quick, because I think that's got to be in Salesperson 101, the classes you take to do business development. Did you just say that self-directed IRAs are not for everyone? So yeah. Who are they for?
So, it really is one of these things where it's kind of a breakdown. So if someone just says, hey, all I'm looking to do is I want to take some funds and I want to be able to put those into certain index funds or anything that might point to the public investment. Well, more than likely, our clients are coming from those types of more traditional type houses. So our clients are looking for the ability to use their retirement funds to invest in real estate. There's multifaceted points to real estate. So it could be a piece of rental property. It could be just vacant land that they want to use their account to build a house on. It could be someone who wants to lend their money out. So, if you are someone who says, I don't know if I really want to be boots on the ground going and looking for property, walking through this thing to make sure that, it's exactly what I want my retirement account to have for tenants, or I don't know if I want to get into working with borrowers and gold might not really be my thing. If all of those types of things, don't really make you want to jump at saying, hey, that's the investment type that I want to diversify my portfolio to get in, then, like I said, it's not for everyone.
Yeah. So 2 things come to mind right away. First of all, so Kyle, I used to work at a company, XYZ. One of their perks they offered was I contribute to a retirement plan. They contribute to a retirement plan, but I don't work there anymore. I have, about $20,000 in that retirement account. What can I do with it?
Okay, so that's a good question as well. And that actually kind of flows into really knowing what you have. People will call me sometimes, and the first thing, maybe not the first thing to know, but one of the first things that I will cover is to let folks know, look, we're not fiduciaries. We're not money managers. So therefore, I'm not going to, because I'm not permitted to give you any tax, legal, or especially financial advice, suggestions, or opinions on anything. So just like this informational podcast here, any call I'm on, it really is kind of an educational series and really providing you the information so that then you can move forward to make the decision on what you're going to be doing. With all that being said, if you are bringing a 401k from a previous employer, some questions that right out of the gate that I have about that 401k. Number one, are you truly separated from that place of business? If you're already working somewhere else, is it the 401k from the previous employer? Because you may find if you are currently employed and those are the funds you want to use, more likely than not, the administrator is not going to let those funds go. You're always going to need to check with your HR first to see if you are available to do what's called an in-service rollover. And then assuming that you are looking to do the rollover, then the next question I have for someone is, well, what kind of funds do you have in your old 401k? Are they all traditional funds? Are they all Roth funds? Is there a mix of both? I mean, quite honestly, you'd be surprised at the folks that, this is the company that they worked at. These are the funds that they had been contributing and having matched into their account, and they don't really know. That can depend. Actually, what it can lead to is determining if someone is going to open just a self-directed traditional, or if they're going to need, if they want to move the entire 401k, but it's got pre-tax and post-tax funds in it, are they going to need to open up the self-directed traditional and the self-directed Roth? So know what those accounts hold. If you do have an IRA or a Roth as well that you'd like to move, you can actually contribute, all of that. And it can all consolidate into all pre-tax or all post-tax funds. So it's just a good idea to really have everything laid out in front of you and know exactly what you want to bring into your new self-directed account before we jump on the phone.
Okay. So here's my next question. When I worked at XYZ company, I basically gave out of my paycheck, right? So I said, I want X amount of money out of my paycheck to go to the retirement fund. That was part of the perks of working there. I didn't have to make any decisions about what that was invested in or how it was making me money. And I just realized it wasn't just sitting in a bank. It was doing something, was being invested somewhere to make me money. If I bring my money to American IRA, I have to be involved in the decision process of how it's invested.
Well, that's probably the best question you've asked so far. And it goes back
Thanks.
to two things I've already mentioned. And it actually goes back to the subtitle of our company, American IRA, self-directed IRAs and 401ks. Okay. So also when I mentioned that we are not money managers, we are not advisors, therefore I'm not going to be pushing the product. I'm not going to be paying attention to your money to tell you what you should be doing with it. Funds that come into self-directed IRA accounts are generally going to be sitting in a non-interest-bearing trust account. So your money is not going to be growing unless you're working it. Now, a little side off from that is to say, if the market is ever getting a little wonky and you see it just, up and down, we will get phone calls. Oh my gosh, look what the market lost today. Well, just think about it. Your account may not be growing if you're not working it in a self-directed account, but it's not losing anything either at that point. So that's the other side to look at it. Those are more, and that also goes back to one of the very first things that I said, that if it's not for everyone, this is not a set it and forget it. Okay. It's not the 80s rotisserie commercial. This is going to be something where you are going to have to find the product that you want to invest in. You're going to be directing us where to send those funds that you want to invest in. It's not just handing us your money and telling us what to do with it. Self-direction doesn't work that way.
Right. So here is my third question. Next question. What is the difference between a traditional and a Roth? How do I know what kind of funds? I just gave them money out of my paycheck. I'm not really sure what kind of funds it is to tell you what kind of account I need.
Well, your paperwork is going to show you that more than likely. You're going to see something that's going to say just IRA. It may not say traditional, but if they're going to be Roth funds, then more times than not, you'll see where it says Roth. The biggest difference on the two is that Traditional funds went into those traditional contributions. You put those into an account before the taxes were ever paid. If they're Roth contribution funds, it means that the taxes were paid before they went into the account. Now that's on the front end. Okay. What that looks like on the back end, or it may be in the middle part of it, is that if you're doing an investment, a self-directed investment with traditional or Roth funds, you may not find taxation on either one of those as they are, say, income producing throughout the year, right? Because everything stays within the vacuum of the retirement account. Where you're really going to notice the difference is on the future distribution. Okay, so when it comes time to take a distribution out of a traditional account, well, at that time, that's when you're going to be responsible for the taxation of the amount that you're taking that year in the form of the income that you took that year. Whereas any of the funds that you're taking out from the Roth, be that the principal, and then of course any profit that you're taking out, it's not going to be taxed ever, because the taxation was taken care of when you put the money into the account.
Oh, that makes sense. So let's pretend I become an American IRA client and I want to make an investment in real estate. Do I have to take a distribution of those funds to make that investment? How does that process work?
Right. And the answer is no. When your funds are on the inside of the retirement account, and of course, that is your objective, to use the account to purchase the real estate, you want to remember that you personally are not who is going to own this real estate. Rather, it's the retirement account that owns the real estate, right? I mean, that's the whole point of setting up the account. It's the beauty of the self-directed IRA is that you can find the property, you can have the retirement account purchase the property, you can have the retirement account handle any of the upfitting and maintenance and pay for the property management company, and then on the back side of that, any profit, rent, if you will, that comes back into the retirement account, it all comes back in, and that's how the account is going to grow, because everything stays within the vacuum of that retirement account. You didn't touch the funds when it came in from your outside custodian. You didn't touch the funds when you directed us where to send that for the purchase of the piece of real estate. And you're not touching those rental income funds as they're coming back into the to the retirement account where we deposit that in. The fact that you don't touch anything in any direction is what keeps it from being a taxable event to you.
So we've just talked about some very basic starter, I would call that self-directed 101 stuff. So what else have you heard or been asked very often, or something you wish that a well-informed client would know that we haven't touched on yet?
I think when you start, getting geared up for the asset classes that you want to invest in, whether or not that is going to be buying a piece of real estate. If real estate is not your thing, because it's just not your thing, you never want to get into real estate. You said, hey, I might lend money to folks who want to get into real estate. Okay, well, great. Then you can let your retirement account be the bank, and you can be a hard money lender out of the retirement account. Or you may just say, hey, I don't want to really do either one of those things, but a little bit like lending, I might want to invest in a private company. So take those three things. Those are generally the top three things that someone's going to invest in. I would say, again, you will always hear me come back to it's self-directed. And because of that, we as the company, no one in our company at any level of staff is going to be doing any of the due diligence on, is this house in a good neighborhood? Is it a good buy? Does it have good rental income? Who or what, if anything, is this private company that you're going to be investing in? Who are the borrowers that you're directing us to send your retirement accounts funds to? Are they good on the payback, for example? We're not going to know any of that at all. All we are, being the record keepers of the account, is to send the funds where you legally and lawfully ask us to do so. So all that culminated to say, you need to do your own due diligence to know, well, what is it about this house? Is it a good or a bad buy? Why are they selling? has this borrower, do they pay on time? Are there, have you spoken to other lenders in the past who have lent them money? Would they do it again? You know, is this company
Mm.
that you want to invest in, is it a legitimate company? Because once you direct us to send the funds for any of those investments, um, other than us bringing the funds back in the form of profit, that's really our only lane that we're allowed to be in.
So I know we say all the time that we cannot give advice. We're not fiduciaries. We're not the ones to say, "Hey, you can put your money here, there, everywhere, or
Mhm.
invest in this, invest in that." It's up to the client because it's totally self-directed. So, but I would say, and I think you would agree with me, Kyle, that the one piece of advice that we can give is to have an army behind you, have a CPA or an advisor or an attorney or all three, have a mentor who is already making these kinds of investments who can give you advice because you're going to need help along the way. This is self directed, but generally speaking, you can't do this alone.
That's correct. I mean, it's always good to have, you know, even if you're a person who doesn't even know what a retirement account is, but if you're a homeowner, chances are if anybody is ever looking for a plumber or an electrician or just a great handyman, chances are you've got those answers. And if you don't, and you're the one who's in need of something, you can reach out and say, hey, who's got somebody somewhere always has a professional who it's in their realm to assist with something, answer questions, take a look at something if you have a question about it, right? Same thing. When it comes to your retirement account, I'm going to tackle a couple of things here really quick. You know me, Jasmine. I just don't give yes or no
Mm-hmm.
answers. If somebody asks me a
No.
question, they better fasten their seatbelt or have a few minutes or a cookie and a snack. Um, and that's this. I always tell folks, make sure that you keep your investments as clean and streamlined as possible. Okay. These are, you want to get into the stock market, play with some stocks. I mean, what do they say? Yeah. Never risk more than you're willing to lose. And that's what you always kind of hear about the stock market. Well, a little bit on the
Yes.
same lines of using a self-directed account, you know, um, keep something easy because it can be. Okay. If you want to get creative, then make sure that you are going to have the people really in the wings there that can explain to you what contracts look like. And I mean, I'm not talking about our contracts because we really don't have any other than the agreements and things like that, the applications and the paperwork that you will use to move forward with your investment. But if there's an attorney that you trust, well, and that's great that you trust them, but make sure it's an attorney who also understands the nuances and inner workings of a self-directed retirement account. Make sure that if your CPA is going to be right there to take your call if you need them, make sure that they understand the nuances of self-direction. All too often when I'm speaking to folks, they'll say, well, I might need to get another CPA because they don't really know anything about self-direction. And then that does give pause to a potential client because, they may ask, well, why does my CPA, my tax professional, not know about self-direction? And I just tell them, hey, by the way, not all of them do. There are so many tax professionals out there that they also know what their niche is. They also know what lane they just want to stay in, whether it's going to be your CPA for end of the year taxation. But if you have, true forensic, CPAs or folks, there are a lot of them out there who understand the ins and outs and the ups and downs of self-directed retirement accounts. And it's good to maybe have a second tax professional who can answer those questions for you. It all goes
Yeah,
back to what I said
absolutely.
at the
Hmm.
beginning about keeping it clean, having your professionals, because these are, even though the asset doesn't truly belong to you and it belongs to your retirement account, you worked very hard for the dollars over the years that were used to secure that asset. And you want to make sure that you are doing it clean all the time, that you're doing it the right way. And if there's ever any questions about, is this a good investment, or can I do it this way? That's where your professionals are going to come in to be able to help you guide you through those questions.
Now, I know you don't answer anything quickly, but I would like to talk a little bit about how you get started. So let's pretend I'm bringing my retirement account funds from XYZ company over to American IRA and I want to get started. What does that process look like? What do I need to bring to the table?
Okay, so really, after a conversation with me or any of our sales staff, the next thing that we're going to do is we have we're really proud to talk about our brand new application process. That's a link. You click on that, and then the next thing you know, you pretty much have your brand new portal that you're going to build. That's going to allow you to have all the autonomy that you want with the technology and everything, how everything is push button these days. It's going to be a simple application. You'll work your way through that, and then after we get the all your paperwork processed, the next stage of that is then getting the account funded. So whether it's going to be a transfer from a like-to-like account, like an IRA or a Roth, or whether it's going to be a rollover from an old 401k, or, really quick, we get out there, okay, well, what about 403Bs? What about 457s? If it's a 4 plan, a 457, a 403B, a 401k, or a TSP, then yes, you can bring all of those in. So you've got the account now established, then it's getting it funded. And then the next stage is for you to be able to move forward with any of your paperwork to get your investment set up.
I think really probably liken it mostly to setting up a bank account. Like when you go into a bank and you have to set up the account and, give them your information, and then you have to bring money into the account, and then you can make transactions within that account. So it's basically the same premise. As if you think of it that way, if you've set up a bank account, you could set up a self-directed IRA account. I want to ask you a question, and this is about you, not necessarily what you do.
Oh,
how did you come to be at American IRA? You said 8 years ago. You've been here 8 years?
Mm-hmm. Going on it.
Yeah. What did you do before, and
That's
how did you get here? Yeah.
So my real estate
love stories.
has taken me a lot of different places. We don't have time for all of those places, but one of the last things that I did was in my years in real estate. And in my years in real estate, both in some commercial and residential sales with a large company, I ended up managing and running a mid-size, mid to large size property management company in Asheville, where our current CEO, Jim Hidd, was one of my clients. And at the same time that Jim was one of our clients, there were properties that I started noticing in there that they didn't have your run-of-the-mill, human being landlord name. It would be attributed to a retirement account. And so as I started learning more about that, and then lo and behold, Jim stopped by the office one day and we got to talking about it. And a few years later, that relationship grew, and he asked me just to stop by the office one day, and one thing led to another, and almost 8 years later, here I am.
Wow. There you go. That's how you do it. Make the connections. Yeah. That the names of the real estate, it was in the vesting name, I presume, of the IRA accounts, right? That was it wasn't like Bob and Sue. It was like New Vision Trust Company for the benefit of, Bob and Sue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cool. So to wrap up and to end, is there anything else you would desperately want a somebody looking into self-directed IRAs, maybe exploring American IRA, anything you want them to know? This is your last chance, Kyle. Last chance.
I think it actually transcends not just from the investor themselves. I think that one of the things that I have at least noticed in this past year is that it also, all of this has it can have influence on referral sources as well. If you are a company that does capital raises and you're looking for investors to set up a self-directed retirement account so that you can use their funds to promote your project. If you are a developer that is looking for funds for your next subdivision, whatever your main focus is, if you are wanting to send clients our way, number one, we greatly appreciate that. But kind of how we ask the clients to qualify themselves, it's a good idea for the referral source to qualify them as well. It's okay to ask them, hey, what type of retirement accounts do you have? Are you going to be able to diversify out of an old 401k? Do you have, IRAs that you want to diversify out of? Is our holding something that's going to, is that something that you want to do? You don't want to get all the way to the point of then scheduling with us to find out that it's going to be a non-starter on something. So whether it's the referral source doing their due diligence on the investor they want to send, or whether it's the investor doing the due diligence on the company that they're going to invest in or the asset that they're going to invest in, I would say, knowing what account you want to use, knowing how those accounts work, and then knowing where you're going to be sending your funds is all very, very important information that you need to have yourself ready for before opening up your account. And I will say one last thing. This is something that, and there are folks who have heard me say this, to give this tip a lot in different regional investor meetings and so on and so forth. But I will always say this. If you know that this is something that you want to use, okay, and it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week, but if you know that within the next 30 to 45 to 60 days, there's going to be a capital raise call, that the property that you may really want is going to, whether it's going to be an off-market deal or if it's going to, hit the market. I always say, if you know that you are going to use a self-directed retirement account, it's not a sales tactic for me to say, hey, Tuesday, open up that account right now. It's not that. I know the timing that is involved with getting the account opened, the 7-day right of rescission period per the IRS that it's going to take before you can do anything, or that has to pass before you can make the investment, which is usually going to be a moot point because it can take 2 to 3 weeks for your outbound custodian to get us the funds. And the next thing that you know, from the time of the phone call that I'm on the first time with somebody, it can be upwards of 30 days before anything happens. Well, if you call me after you've already gone under contract on something and you're closing next week and they need the money in about 4 days, yeah, that's not going to happen. It's not the end of the world, and you can definitely back out of it, but you're probably going to frustrate a lot of folks when they've got to rewrite all the paperwork. They've got to get money back to you because it was probably your personal money that you put into the form of an EMD or a due diligence. And then everything has to be generated from the retirement account. All the paperwork has to be redone. So again, if you know that it's something that you want to do, go ahead and just get the account open, knock that part out, and even partially fund it, enough to cover your, a minimum cash balance in the account and enough to cover at least an earnest money, and then let the rest of it roll in during the escrow period.
Wow. Yes. So much information in this episode today. And I know that anyone looking into self-directed IRAs, that's probably sparked a million bazillion questions. So I hope it did. I hope it got people thinking, and gave them some good paths to follow when they're starting their research. So thank you for joining me, Kyle. I really appreciate you being here. And this has been absolutely fantastic.
It's always a pleasure, and I'm glad to be part of the inaugural IRA Café podcast. Thank you so much for asking me.
Thanks so much for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll join you at the next episode of the IRA Café.
American IRA, LLC, a North Carolina LLC, acts as a third-party administrator for New Vision Trust Company, a state-chartered South Dakota trust company. As a neutral self-directed IRA administrator, American IRA does not recommend or endorse any investments, individuals, or entities. including financial representatives, promoters, or companies. American IRA and the IRA Café are not responsible for other statements, representations, or agreements, nor do we evaluate the quality or profitability of any investment. American IRA does not endorse guests on the IRA Café podcast. Guest opinions are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of American IRA, its subsidiaries, associates, or custodian. Participation in the podcast is voluntary and no compensation is provided. American IRA is not a fiduciary and cannot offer financial advice. Please consult your CPA or another professional before making financial decisions.